Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tangle Time Arts. This is Nana, and today we're going to take a look at putting some finishing touches on tiles 1 through 4 of the Fragment of Your Imagination challenge, which was a January challenge, but sometimes things take a little longer, and here we are. At this point, you could leave it as just like it is, or you can add a little to it. And I think I would like to add some to it. So I have my first 4 tiles, and then I also have a black pen if I need it. I definitely need a pencil and a tortillon. And to add color today, I'm going to be using some watercolor pencils. So I have a brush and I also have some water that's off camera. I have used washi tape to tape these 4 together. So if I were to flip that over, it would look like this, all taped together. And actually, when I work on a large scale project like this, before I add color, I like to kind of practice with the color. So what I typically do is I make a photocopy. So I'll do several photocopies and then I will actually experiment with, I'll just take colored pencil or a marker and I will experiment with what colors I want to use. That way, when I actually put it onto the actual project, hopefully I don't get any awkward surprises. All right, so I have my 4 tiles here. And just looking at it, I can tell that there are some areas that as I went along, I started adding more shading to. Like I have shading here and less here and none here. So I would like to kind of keep that consistent. So I'm going to start off with the pencil actually, because I feel like I don't really need to add any ink at this moment, although I might change my mind and add some. So I'm going to take my pencil and I'm just going to lightly add some shading in these areas that I didn't get to before, or maybe as I went along, I just decided I wanted to add more shading. So these right away definitely need a little more shading. And these don't have any shading at all, so I'm going to add some there. Like that. And I'm going to refer back to my practice sheet here. So for shading, I had put that in red. I added those there, and I'm also going to put shading around the circle. So let's do that. And some areas have a little shading and others don't, but I'm just lightly putting that in. And this is a larger piece, so I'm going to rotate and try the best I can to keep it centered for you. So I'm just lightly putting that in. I don't want it too dark or overpowering. And some areas already have shading. And then we're back to where we started. And then also with the outer edge, some areas have shading and others don't. So I would just like to keep that consistent and add some graphite to the outer edge. Not a lot, but I'm just lightly adding some in. I'm using the side of my pencil tip. like that. And I think that's all I'm going to do actually for shading. I don't want to overdo it. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to set my pencil aside and pick up my tortillon. And I'm going to start from the center and work my way out. So these areas that I added some graphite, I'm just going to blend those out. When you're working with a larger project, you just really want to kind of take a step back sometimes and get the big picture of it. And you also want to take your time. You might work on it a little bit and then come back to it in a day or a week. All right. So those look pretty even, or at least better than they were. And then I'm going to go along the outer edge of the circle here and just blend that out. And once we've completed that, we can work our way along the outer edge. And this is going to go pretty quickly because we don't really have a lot to do. All right, and I think we're back to the beginning. And I think that about does it. I think I might like to actually go back in here and color in one of the zigzags. It just needs a little bit more drama. So I'm just going to pick, I think, this outer one and add a little ink to it. And I'm going to do that for each fragment here, each circle. I think it's just going to make it a little more dramatic. Again, these are just suggestions. If you have a different idea, you can follow through with that, or you can just leave it the way it was. And then I'm going to go up on the other side. There we go. And that just added a lot more drama to that. I really like that. All right, and so now I'm going to put the cap on my pen, and I am actually at this point going to take my brush, and it's just a plain generic brush, and I'm going to actually put a little, not a lot, but just a little bit of water along that graphite there. I just want to kind of set that because I think I might like to add a little bit of color to the outside, but I would like the graphite to not move around. And that'll dry pretty quickly, especially because it's kind of a warm day. If you're not adding color, you don't need to do this part. All right, made it all the way around there. Okay. So while that's drying, I'm going to actually add some color. And I'm gonna go back to my copy. For the center, I think I would like to add kind of a brighter color here. And then I'm going to actually add a purple to this circle and a blue to these rays. So I'm using Derwent and I have Terracotta 64. So watercolor pencils, you can color with them just like regular colored pencils. So if you don't have watercolor pencils, but you would like to add a little color, you can just use your colored pencils. I'm not pressing very hard because when I add water to this, it'll become more vibrant. And it doesn't show up very much on the screen right now, but it will. Also, if you'd like to use a different tool like gel pens would work great. All right, I have that colored in. And if I were just using regular colored pencil, I would probably go in a lot darker than what I have at this point. All right, I'm going to switch out the terracotta for my purple one, and I have Imperial Purple 23. And I'm just filling in the circle here. Other options would be like a yellow or a gold. If you would like to do something like that, something brighter. You can play around with it. You don't have to use the colors that I've chosen. You can make it your own with your choices. You could try like a pink or a green. So whatever your favorite colors are, go ahead and give those a try. All right, I've got a nice layer of watercolor pencil on that. And I'm just going for a hint of color here. I don't want to overpower the piece with a lot of color. So I'm keeping it pretty light. And then for the rays coming out, I'm going to use blue because blue is my favorite color. So again, I'm just lightly adding the color there. And I'm going to do the same on each tile. This one's really thin. All right, and I'm rotating as I go because this is a big project, so I definitely need to rotate. And as you go along, you might think that you want to add more color, like you might want to color in these with a different color, and that's totally awesome. You can. All right. So at this point, I am going to take my brush and add some water, not a lot. And then I'm just going to, you can start anywhere. I'll start over here. I'm just adding water. So that it's more like watercolor paint. I don't want my brush to be too wet because then the paper might buckle. So it's just really a light wash of water. And with the warm temperatures we have, it's probably going to dry pretty quickly. It's unseasonably warm, but I'm not complaining. And watercolor pencils, you can also apply wet. I applied them dry, but you could actually wet the tip and apply it that way, and you're going to get a much more vibrant color. All right, I'm going to clean my brush off, and then I'm going to go to the circle, and I'm just going to add water and start anywhere really and work your way around. And you can see the color gets a lot more vibrant. All right. I'm gonna clean my brush off well, and then I'm gonna go back in and do these rays of blue. And again, maybe you wanted to choose a different color. Maybe you don't want the orange and the purple and the blue. Feel free to experiment with colors that you enjoy. There's no right or wrong. There we go. So I made my way all the way around. And then our edges are set. So I think I would like to add a little bit of color to the edges, and I'm going to go in with the terracotta. And since this section's still wet, I'm going to start over on the other side. And I'm just going to add a little bit of color along the edge of each side. Just like that, just a hint of color. And then I can go back in with a little bit of water, not a lot, but I can just add that to the edge. That's going to make it look kind of has an aged look to it. But again, I'm just adding a hint of color, not a lot, because I really want the tangles to pop off the page. I don't want to take away from that. All right, and then we'll go back to our beginning, which we had it in this position. And that is pretty much all I'm going to do. And I really kept it simple with 3 colors and left most of the focus on the black and the white and the shading itself. Now, if I wanted to, I could go back in and make it darker and add more color to it, but I really like it the way it is. And once it's dry, you can remove the washi tape from the back, and you can mix and match and move the tiles around. And when we take a look at tiles 5 through 8, then we'll have even more tiles to move around. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did, and I really love it with just that little blush of color. And I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you for the next one where we'll do something similar. All right, take care. I love you guys. Bye-bye.